Straw Hut Media.
Hey everybody, it's Release Date Rewind, a podcast that celebrates milestone anniversaries in film. Welcome to another episode of my show. My name is Mark J. Parker, and I'm a film lover and filmmaker. And thank you so much for checking this out on the Straw Hut Media Network, wherever you get your pods, or watching on YouTube. January has not been great, so I hope this episode is a nice distraction for you and maybe makes you laugh or at least makes you smile. Now, there's not much smiling when you're stuck in a psychiatric hospital in the 1960s during the winter, but we're making the most of it. My theme here for the month of January has sort of accidentally become movies starring Winona Ryder, surrounded by strong women in Massachusetts. So we have more of that for you today. We are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Oscar nominee James Mangold's film Girl Interrupted, which is based on the memoir of the same name by Susanna Kaysen, played by Winona. So grab your friends, wear your florals. I think I'm going to just start saying that in every episode now. It just felt right for this one, and I'm just going to continue it. Why not, right? Now, if you'd like to watch or rewatch this movie before continuing, it sadly doesn't seem to be streaming anywhere right now with a subscription currently in the US. Wah wah. But you can borrow it from your library, you can rent it, or you could find it on some random site somewhere. All right, patients, take your medicine and settle down because it's time to rewind. Okay, everybody, I am so excited to have a new friend. Well, new chatting, but not so new on Instagram. We have bonded over movies and memes and all sorts of cool, nerdy stuff. Please welcome Rudy Valdez to Release Date Rewind. Hi, Rudy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Who used to say that? Wasn't
Johnny
that
Carson?
Yeah, Johnny Carson. And then I think it's Jim Carrey. Doesn't Jim Carrey say it in The Truman Show?
Truman Show, you're right.
I think he copies it. You're right. I'm like, wait, where did I hear that in a movie? Yes. Anyway, hi, Rudy. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. Rudy had, we've been Instagram friends for a while, and I saw you were kind of liking some stories about this great movie. And I was like, hey, Rudy could be really great. Let me see if he's free. Let me see if he wants to do it. And everybody, you just heard his voice on the show not that long ago. Rudy, you made an amazing little voicemail for Black Christmas. Really great stuff.
That's right. Thank you.
You had some good thoughts. I love Black Christmas so much. It gets better and better with every rewatch. Do you agree?
I agree. It's a staple I watch every December.
Oh, do you watch it every year?
Oh, yeah. There's certain movies you want to watch on certain holidays, and that's one of them.
Yes. What do you think, real quick? What do you think of the remakes? The 2006 remake and then the 2019 one?
Okay, so I like them both. Hot take. I like 2006 for its own reasons.
Totally.
And I didn't mind 2019. I know a lot of my horror friends hate it, but I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It has its own little twist to it.
It definitely does. I didn't see that.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. But I just love like a shut down campus, some people running around screaming. It always works. So
the campus is always shut down for some reason or another.
Right? Of course. It's always, there's a really good, you might have seen, oh God, I think it was called Christy with a K. Do you ever see Christy?
No, I don't think so. No.
I think it's like 10 years oldish. It's same thing. A girl, maybe a couple. I think it's just her. I think she's alone, if I remember correctly. But it's the campus is shut down for Thanksgiving break. So it's not Christmas, it's Thanksgiving. But oh my God, Rudy, add that to your list. I think I found it on YouTube a few years ago. It is so scary, so intense. Christy, check it out.
All right, yeah. We need more Thanksgiving movies too, at least horror ones. So
yeah, right. Yeah, we need more Thanksgiving horror for sure, or at least I need to discover it more. I know, again, they're out there. It's just
there's a few.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, we are not talking about. Well, we are kind of talking about. I mean, this movie kind of takes a turn, as you know. We just rewatched it. This movie takes a turn towards the end, and it kind of does become a horror movie in these tunnels under the institution that they're in. So I guess it all kind of makes sense. But before we nerd out about Girl Interrupted, Rudy, tell us about you. I know you write movie reviews for local news, right? Newspapers and things.
Yeah, so started at the end of this past summer. I started writing movie reviews for the Willamette Weekly. It's a local paper here in Portland, Oregon. I have a friend who's like an editor or assistant editor, and he asked me if I would be interested in trying out or doing some submissions and seeing if his editor wanted to bring me on, and so they did. So every now and then I'll pitch some movies that I want to see. It's usually horror, the ones I want to do, but
nice.
But it's been a lot of fun, and I've done non-horror as well, and I've also covered a recent. We had a documentary here last fall. It was a queer documentary that focuses on like local stories or local. We focused on some of the local ones, but they are worldwide docs and stuff. So I covered that, and that was a bigger piece, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice, Rudy. I love that. So do you is that like your normal like day job? Do you do a lot of writing for work, or is this sort of like a side?
No, this is just for fun. I used to write like for school and stuff. But my day job is very boring. It's just like I'm a fraud investigator for a financial firm. So it's
fraud. Like, ooh, that's spicy. I don't think that's boring. Is it boring?
Sometimes, there's every now and then there's outliers where things can get really exciting because you catch things, but most of the time it's just pretty like kind of boring.
That's good then, that at least you then can, do the writing gigs on the side to kind of keep that side of your brain going and you can nerd out and everything that way, right?
Definitely a good shift to keep my my brain working or thinking.
And that way you get to express all your love for these movies because you're a big movie fan like I am. Like, I mean, I feel like, have you been watching movies since you were a kid?
Oh yeah, all the time. I just like them. And my aunt was the one who got me into scary movies. So horror. She's what watch me and my sister. She'd like, let me watch them with her when I was not supposed to. But so I blame her for all that. She knows it.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah, I love hearing, like my dad did not care about ratings. Who cares? Rated R. It's just a movie. Like he introduced me to some amazing, very adult, scary, disturbing stuff. So yeah, we have to appreciate those family members that just didn't care. Whatever, it's not a big deal, right? Exactly. And speaking of horror, actually, Rudy, I saw your post. I saw that beautiful 4K you just bought of The Faculty. Did you watch it? How does it look?
I haven't watched it yet because it came in Friday, and I had other stuff going on. So I will watch it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one. So, I mean, that whole era, late 90s, that was 98. This is 99. I mean, like late 90s. God, it was just everything looked so good. Everyone looked pretty good. I mean, Angelina's bangs, they're given actually some Gale Weathers. I never really thought about that until this latest rewatch. I was like, okay, winter of 2000, we were getting some real blunt, scary bangs. But love The Faculty so much. I saw your post and I was like, yes, good for you. And that just came to 4K, right? That's a new disc.
I think within the last few months or so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like in the last.
I was looking for the price to drop, but it went up and then it dropped again. So I'm just gonna buy it. Like I can't wait.
I know. Yeah. How much are 4Ks now? I haven't bought a 4K disc in a while. But,
sometimes it's like 25 to 35, $40. So this one it was like 38. But it went up to like 44. And I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna go down. This when it dropped down, I ordered it.
Oh God, 44.
I got the substance. I got the substance 4K for $24. So it's like it just depends.
Weird. Yeah, that's so strange. I guess it really depends on the amount that's available. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but wow, the substance. So you have that on 4K?
It's delayed, but it's on the way.
Oh, it's on the way. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to rewatch it. I have a screener because I'm in the, the Indie Spirit Awards. They do them every year. It's Film Independent. I've been a member of them for a while, and anyone should if you love indie movies and you get to vote for the awards. But I have a screener of The Substance, and I think I want to watch it again before it expires because it's so fun and exciting that like it's getting so much love.
I'm happy for it. It was like I went in blind when I saw it, and so it was just a fun watch. I gave it my highest rating last year for the paper. So
good. Yeah, you wrote about that. Yeah, tell us real quick, because I know we can read your reviews online, at least like some of them, right? Do you have another review coming soon for the paper? Is there anything we can look forward to?
It's more it's like the Shipwreck one, the Shipwreck horror movie.
Shipwreck horror movie.
The Damned. The Damned.
What is it? Oh, the Damned.
Yeah, it came out.
I know that.
Came out a few month or so ago.
Okay, The Damned. I missed that one. Was it any good?
I liked it.
Okay.
It's like 19th century Icelandic horror. It's like set in Iceland.
Okay.
It was a really good one. I liked it. It's pretty real creepy. I love a good 90-minute movie these days.
Oh yeah. I actually just today saw Presence, speaking of horror.
I saw that yesterday.
Oh, you saw it yesterday. All right, well, we won't spoil it for anyone, but what did you think, Rudy? Did you like?
I really liked it. The third act was wild.
I want to rewatch it someday and just kind of let it all wash over me again,
Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, okay, enough of today, everyone, enough of horror. We are now going to a different kind, like I said, a different kind of horror, going to the 60s where, women already were having a tough time, but especially women dealing with various, mental illnesses, various issues, and also just issues with the world, calling them crazy women. So we're going to like nerd out here. We're going to go back in time. We're not going all the way to the 60s. We're going back to 1999, 2000 when Girl Interrupted came out for its 25th anniversary, everybody. It came out in limited theaters December 21st, 99, right before the year ended. But I call this a January movie because, Rudy, just so you know, when things go wide, I always think like, well, that's when most people were able to see it. So let's just, talk about it when it went wide. So it went wide January 14th, 2000. And I saw this in the theater. Did you see it in the theater, Rudy?
I did not.
Okay. You caught it later. You think maybe on TV or you rented it or something?
I remember stocking the tapes at Blockbuster because I worked there. So I remember the whole shelf of their faces, and Angelina,
yes,
added it because the original poster didn't have her on it. It was just one of the writer's face. So when they did the tapes or the release, they put Angelina on the cover. So I just remember walking the wall and seeing Winona's face with Angelina right underneath it. So.
Yes, I know. Isn't that interesting? Because you're so right. The original poster was almost kind of like Scream in a way, where it's just huge Winona's wide eyes, her face. But yeah, because Angelina was getting so much buzz, rightfully so. She's amazing in this movie. And I'm sure by the time it came to Blockbuster, I think Angelina had already probably won the Oscar, right? Because back then movies didn't come out that way for home video until at least 6 months later, right?
Yeah, I think she was either nominated or she had won, because I think I remember seeing like the logo of the Oscar on it.
So. Right.
In 1969, the wild ones went to Woodstock. The unlucky ones went to war.
There's something happening here.
But if you didn't know where you were going...
You have the distinction of being the only senior not going on to college.
I don't have a plan. I just don't want to end up like my mother.
Susanna.
They sent you to Claymoore.
The best place in the world for someone like you is less than a half an hour from here.
Welcome to Claymoore, Susanna.
Wow, how long did you work at Blockbuster?
For a few years. It was fun. I made some good friends. I'm still friends with them today. Nice. It was just like, it was retail, It was you had a good days, your bad days. You always had to work Friday and Saturday nights, so
busy nights. Mm-hmm, yeah. So there goes your social life, right? But I wish I could go back in time. I mean, in 1999, I was too young to have a job. I was turning 13 in 2000, so I couldn't work at Blockbuster yet. But I could have worked there later, and I don't know why I didn't, because they didn't really go out of business until I guess later in the 2000s, I think, right? Yeah. So, man, I'm like living vicariously through you right now, looking at the walls, browsing the aisles. That's so funny. So you're there working and you're like, okay, the second Girl Interrupted comes here, I'm snatching a copy for myself, right?
Yeah, we got 5 free rentals a week. So
good, a week.
Yeah, nice. But even when they were free, if they were late, we got fees.
So. Oh, okay, good. Hey, you got to follow the rules. You're not any more special than others, right? Wow, but 5 free rentals a week. Good job, Rudy. That's a good perk. I thought you were going to say 5 a month, which still feels pretty decent. Wow. All right, Blockbuster. See? They don't make them like they used to. All right. Well, okay, everybody, let's rewind. I'm going to set the scene for you, Rudy. This is what was going on in January 2000. So, of course, everybody, we had just survived Y2K. Remember that? Everyone was nervous about New Year's Eve. The clocks are going to reset and things are going to, I don't know. The
Skynet.
Skynet. Exactly. Things are going to short circuit and no one's going to be able to communicate. Nah, we survived. It was all good, right? On the music side, What a Girl Wants by the one and only Xtina was the top song, number 1 song. I love that song. I mean, that first album from Christina, amazing.
I still have a CD.
Fan? Oh yeah.
I still have it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember I also had a cassette tape. This is so old. Of it was the single for Genie in a Bottle. So big Christina fan. She was on top of the world with that album. Other top songs that were in the top 10 that just made me laugh, and I thought this could be fun. I Knew I Loved You from Savage Garden. I knew I loved you before I met. Right? Oh, so good, so catchy. Not really good. I loved Savage Garden for a bit there, but just that really brought me back, right? And then another good ballad, Whitney Houston's My Love Is Your Love. Oh, I forget about that one sometimes. We'll be right back. Those were some popular songs. On the TV side, usually, January isn't like a big TV month, especially back then when we were only watching really just broadcast, networks. But Malcolm in the Middle had just premiered on Fox. Thought that was funny. That was when we were starting to learn who Bryan Cranston was. Now he's this megastar, but back then we didn't really know who he was, right? And I never really watched this. I kind of forgot about it, and I realized, I guess I never watched that show. But Saved by the Bell, the new class, had just come to an end. I guess I didn't watch it because the original cast was so amazing that, like, who needs to see a spinoff with just Screech in like a supporting role, right?
Mr. Belding. I think Mr. Belding was principal still.
He was still around. Yeah, but like new cast. I'm surprised actually. I was reading that like lasted 6 or 7 seasons. I did not watch any of that. I must have just been like, did you?
No, if I watched anything, I saw clips. Like
right. Yeah, I think like even as kids, we are already just like whatever, like old news, right? So that was on the TV side, and on the movie side, other popular movies along with Girl Interrupted were Next Friday, the sequel to Friday, Stuart Little, directed by the one and only M. Night Shyamalan. Crazy. The Hurricane. Crazy. Yeah, isn't that crazy? The Hurricane with Denzel Washington, The Green Mile, Tom Hanks, Galaxy Quest, Sigourney, Tim Allen, and the talented Mr. Ripley, Matt Damon, Gwyneth, Jude. I mean, we had a good kind of variety of all sorts of things. What do you think of when you hear some of those movies? Some good ones, some okay ones, some,
Oh, lots of good ones, definitely. When you said The Hurricane, I was like, what was that about? Then I remember Denzel Washington, and then the tapes at Blockbuster. We had a whole wall. Because it was so popular, and it was always rented out. And then Galaxy Quest is a good one. I think they got a recent Steelbook or 4K, but I think
they did too. You're right. Yeah. I haven't seen that. That's another one. And even the talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, I remember it so well, and it's so good, but I haven't really watched some of those movies in years. Galaxy Quest was so fun, and I forgot how hot Sigourney looks in that with her blonde hair.
I was just thinking that she looks babe in that movie.
She is total babe, absolutely, and I love her so much. So, and also just perfect casting for her to do that movie. I mean, I really have to rewatch that. And I know Sam Rockwell, before he was like super huge, was in that. Justin Long, you're right. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
He was talking about it recently I think I saw a clip. So
I think I did see that too.
I forgot he was in it, so I felt bad.
Absolutely, I know. So we got some good ones for sure.
I guess I'm puzzled as to why it is I have to be in a mental institution.
Call me a cab.
Okay, you're a cab. You chased a bottle of aspirin with a bottle of vodka.
I had a headache.
In comes Girl Interrupted, like we said, in a few theaters at the end of December, now in like probably close to 2,000 theaters in January. This is the time when I throw it over to my guest in your own words, and it does not need to be long. Give me a brief little summary in your own words. What is Girl Interrupted about? It can be a little log line. It can be a little whatever you want. What is it?
Girl Interrupted to me is a story of a woman a person who isn't ready to accept the consequences of her actions and has to like figure herself out. And she does that by leaning on unexpected people, like the people she's in there with, and also the staff. So she just has to find herself and navigate who she's going to be, or what her impact, what she did to herself, as far as like, she's lost. And
she's totally lost.
And she needs help in finding the path to accepting herself and learning to love herself again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yes. Round of applause for Rudy. Let's get that on the back of the 4K, DVD cover. Yeah, totally. And it's funny actually, because I kind of forgot how young Susanna is. She's only like 18, 19. Like she's not going to college. Like she's like a high school graduate. Yes. So yeah, she's got so much growing up to do in a short amount of time. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, I remember like the scene where she's talking to her guidance counselor about like she's like the only one not going to college, but she wants to be a writer. So that I was like, that's why I run. Oh, she's a child. Like she's barely leaving school.
Totally. Yeah. And so do you think, because she's still a child, do you think she, like, now that we've rewatched it for the first time in a long time for me, now that we rewatched it, is she actually like mentally ill, mentally unstable, whatever you want to call it? Or is she just being like a dumb kid and just needs a little bit of like tough love? What do you think?
I was I was imagining that, like, why was she in this institution with all these people that were all obviously had issues of themselves,
Right.
and I was like, wow, like, did they just chuck her in there because the parents didn't want to deal with it, because parents were more concerned about their image with their friends and the community around them. So their daughter, self-harming herself, and they didn't want to deal with it. They didn't want to talk to her about it. So they just kind of just pushed her into this facility.
Right.
I really just thought she was just a person that made a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
or had a hard time, and she did something extreme. I just thought that maybe going to counseling would have been fine, not locking her up in an institution for 18 months to kind of like sort out her stuff. But I thought that was a bit of extreme for her parents to do.
I agree. Yeah, because especially, and like, in the beginning, when we're meeting her and like she's smoking and we learn what she did, right? The line, you swallowed a bottle of aspirin with a bottle of vodka, something like that, right? And she says, "I had a headache," right?
Oh,
Which
I
is
love
just
that line.
so badass. But like the therapist, whoever, psychiatrist, this doctor who's saying that to her, I forgot, but like he's just a family friend. He even says like, "Well, I don't really do this anymore." It's like,
Yeah.
wait. Okay, she should talk to someone who does this, who is still licensed, and maybe all she needs is just like a weekly session with someone. I don't know if she needs to like be locked away, like exactly how you said, with women who have real, problems, real trauma to work through. I mean, you got Elizabeth Moss with the burns. You got, obviously Angelina, Lisa. You have Daisy. Oh my gosh. Why am I blanking? Brittany Murphy. Oh my God. Brittany, amazing work. But like you have some real, dark stuff. And like even Susanna's kind of like, why am I here?
And if you notice, her parents never came to visit her.
They never come to visit. I know. That Joanna Kearns, man, she looked so good in this movie. Did you ever see Growing Pains, the show?
Oh, yeah. She looked so familiar. I had to look her up really quick because the familiar face. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. She looks
she looks good. The exact same from her Growing Pains days, 10 years prior. So, yeah, she doesn't have much to do. But, yeah, you're so right. They are so focused on image and the parties and all that like they won't even be seen at what is it, Claymoore, at the hospital. So dark, so twisted. They'll give her a call, but that's it,
Yeah.
So
it was and it was 30 minutes away, so it wasn't close, but it wasn't far.
Not at all.
But they didn't even visit, so that was like a big red flag.
Right? I know. If I was Whoopi, I'd be like, okay, girl, you need a new set of parents. Let's get you somewhere else. I love it. I know.
When she pulled up, I saw. I'm like, oh yeah, she's in this movie.
Yeah, she's just waiting there for the cab to arrive. Yeah. Oh, she's really fun. We'll nerd out about all these great women, these great actors.
What are they that help you sleep?
Oh, I don't need them.
Are we going to have a problem?
Look at me.
I'll just kind of tell everyone where our key players were and how this movie started, okay? So obviously based on a book by the real Susanna Kaysen, right? And although she apparently, maybe you saw this too, apparently she was one of the film's main detractors where I guess she did not love some of the embellishments. Like I guess Susanna and Lisa never did escape the hospital and go to Daisy's house. I guess that was all made up, apparently, but a lot of it was based on her book. But I guess she was really upset that they took a lot of, fictional twists and turns that were not real. But what was real was Susanna really did, have a whole bunch of aspirin and try to drink herself to death at a very young age. So at least the beginning is real, right? And so you might have seen this too, Rudy, that Winona Ryder was a big. Not only is she in it, she produced it. She partnered with a producer named Douglas Wick. She got the rights to the book after, some kind of rights, battles. She got it with Columbia Pictures and they developed it for her to star, of course. And so then it took a few years, some different scripts, trying to find the right kind of script for this, since I'm sure it was hard to adapt all this stuff. And I love the back and forth. We don't see it in the last half, but the first half, I love the cutting between present and past, and a door opens and in someone's apartment, I think it's Jared Leto's apartment, and then you see one of the nurses saying checks. I loved all that interweaving of past and present. Did you like that?
I did. I noticed. Yeah, I like that part. It just kind of made it wasn't confusing. Some movies will do that and it can be a little jarring, but this one kind of made sense because you're going through her lens. And so you're kind of seeing what she's going through as far as what she's remembering, because she's in Claymoore. So she's probably writing in her book or thinking about stuff while she's in her room. So she's having these images and her memories. And then then reality comes in and it's like, hi, by the way, you're still in here. Like,
right. Yeah,
you know.
I think, and it's so seamless, and the camera just kind of turns, and it's like, oh, we're back here. I kind of missed some of that in the later half, but then I remembered, well, she's getting better, and
That's
she
right,
even
yeah.
says, to her doctor, she's like, I'm getting better, so naturally we wouldn't be so kind of all over the place. So makes sense. But in comes, so Ryder gets writer director James Mangold to come in, and he co-wrote the script with a writer named Lisa Loomer. He directed it. How funny, he's having a moment right now with A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie. He directed that. Have you seen that?
I've heard good things. My friends recently saw it. I haven't yet, but they said it was really, really good. They thought
really okay. There's something about it. I don't know why. I'm like not totally
I'm not a big Bob
interested.
Dylan fan.
Yeah,
but they're saying that we're talking about Oscars, and so they were saying that the nominations were justified as far as like what they saw. So.
All right. Yeah, because it got a good amount. I know, like, obviously Timmy and the supporting actress Monica, and then
who was the best supporting?
Edward Norton got a nod for it. Yeah.
My friend was saying that he was really good. I'm like, well, he's always really good in the movies he's in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he never does a bad job. But yeah, that it just sort of, not that it surprised me. I knew it was coming, but I'm just like, wow, okay, this movie, I guess, really is a major contender, and now with all these nods for sure. Yeah. So he's having a moment, but he had previously directed a Copland, which I never saw. But again, going back to Blockbuster, I remember seeing the VHS there on the wall, and I was like, ooh, with Sylvester Stallone looking very moody, right? Mm-hmm. Harvey Keitel, I think. So Copland, and he his directorial debut, his feature debut, was a film called Heavy with Liv Tyler and an actor named Pruitt Taylor Vince, who then reteamed with James Mangold a couple of years after this in a great horror movie, Identity. Do you remember Identity?
Oh, Identity is great.
Yeah, yes. I forgot James Mangold did that. He does all sorts of genres. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I love Identity. I haven't seen that one in a long time. At the Motel, Rainy.
Yeah. I remember Rebecca De Mornay was cast in that, and I just always had a little crush on her, and so she was in it. So I really wanted to see it, because So I remember, I haven't seen it in a while though.
Yeah, it's been a while. Years. Yeah, so that's James Mangold. Let's move over real quick. We'll just talk about our lead ladies. We'll talk more about all the other supporting ladies, but at least our leads. Going back to Winona, she was previously in just up in in the year or two right before this, Celebrity, which was a fun one with, I think, was that a Woody Allen movie? I think that was.
I think so. Yeah. Leo DiCaprio was in
Leo, Kenneth Branagh.
I'm trying to remember the picture. White. I remember the poster with all the faces.
Right, all the faces, exactly. Yeah, so she was in that, and also, I mean, just 2 years prior, Alien Resurrection, going back to Sigourney. So this was an interesting time for Winona. She was already nominated for an Oscar in Little Women, which I just talked about. So this is like Winona month on the podcast. So yeah, this was a couple years after that. She's trying some different things, action, like more gritty kind of drama like this. So yeah, she's doing some cool stuff. Moving over to the great Angelina, who, like we were saying, won the Oscar for this supporting role. And I mean, remember, Rudy, when she won, that was the infamous night where she kissed her brother.
I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
And she looked very, very pale, very black hair. I don't know why she looked like that. Maybe she was getting ready to shoot Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, or maybe something else in between. I forget. But yeah,
it was just another Sunday for her. She was
right. She's just like,
I'm gonna go out with my brother. We're gonna wear black clothes. I'm gonna make out with him. We're fine.
Yeah, we're just like two vampires, just like, here at the Oscars, right? Yeah, yes. So that was a big moment for her in multiple ways. But so she had just previously done The Bone Collector. I remember that. I really like that one. Yeah, I have the old DVD somewhere.
Same.
And Denzel, right? She was also in a movie I love, even though it might not be great. I don't know if it's aged well, but a movie, one of those many movies we've seen with like a big cast, interwoven stories, Playing by Heart, where it's her and the cutest Ryan Phillippe with blue hair, right? That was
no one knows that movie. I love that movie.
I'm so glad you love it too.
I have it on DVD, and then I bought the Blu-ray a few years because it's out of print.
There's a Blu-ray?
It came out it's a very small run, but I remember I got it for like $25, but now it's like 60 or more. But I loved it. I got the soundtrack. I have the CD soundtrack somewhere over here.
I'm so glad you love the soundtrack too. Yes, I have a song that is the weirdest song, Drinking in LA, that I'm pretty sure is
Brand Van 3000.
Yes. Oh my God, you're speaking my language. Yes. I think that opens the movie, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that starts like the opening credits. But yeah, such a cute, Angelina and Ryan and like Gillian Anderson and oh my gosh, everyone, Jenna Rollins. I mean, everyone's in it.
No, I think Ed Harris. He's in ER. He was in ER, right?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. And I think also Jon Stewart before he was like, you know,
all
like
cute and
right, doing like what he does that we know him for. You know, he actually did act. Going back to The Faculty as well, he was in that, right? So played by her, and she also, of course, really. I mean, we were just talking about Hackers on Instagram. She was in that, of course, but right before this, about a year before, she was in that big TV movie that really got her major. Gia, remember Gia? Yes. That was a big deal. And it makes total sense for her to be chosen to play this role. Because, I mean, seeing her in Gia, all that fire and sexiness and just like all the complications, it makes total sense for her to play Lisa, you know, like no brainer.
Highs and lows increasingly severe. Lisa thinks she's hot because she's a sociopath.
I'm a sociopath.
No, you're gay.
So those are our two leads, and I'll just wrap it up here with Whoopi. Going back to good old Whoopi, who I love in this movie. She says so much on her face. You know, she doesn't have to say anything with her mouth, but her eyes just, when she's just glaring at them or just looking sadly or, you know, like, I'm just like, oh man, love her. Like, she's such a motherly figure, but she's not at all like warm. She's still got that cold, like, this is work, you know?
You can tell she cares about them. You know, she really wants the best for them, but she has to be, she knows that she can't be their friend. She needs to be someone that they can respect and go to, but she's not going to not be their friend because she can't be. You know, she shouldn't allow herself to be that. But it was, I loved seeing her in the movie.
And I love,
if I was going to be locked away for, you know, for self-care, I would want to be in the care of Whoopi.
Right?
Like,
Me too.
18 months with Whoopi?
Sounds great. Like, I would be like, teach me everything. Like, tell me your whole story, right? Everything. I know. I'd be like, it's all right. You can watch me shave my legs. Like, let's chat, girl, right? But I know Winona Susanna did not like that at all, right? But so when Whoopi was just in before this, The Deep End of the Ocean, completely forgot she's in that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer, maybe Treat Williams, I think.
Is that the one where she loses her child?
Yeah, like I think she loses her child, and then years later he comes back. I believe it's foggy. I might have only seen it once back then, you know. But I just remember the poster is like Michelle hugging like a young man, you know, older boy. So Whoopi was supporting in that. She was in How Stella Got Her Groove Back with Angela Bassett. That, of course, was a big thing. And she had also just done the Alice in Wonderland TV movie. I think it was for NBC where she played the Cheshire Cat, which I remember at that time I was like, oh my God, that makes great sense. I got to watch Whoopi in this TV movie. Back then when, you know, all the networks would do like 2 or 3 night like TV movies. I kind of miss those, you know, miniseries, I guess, you know. So that's where I'll leave off, but we have many more people we'll talk about as we nerd out. But Rudy, tell me, you know, why, when I asked you, would you want to talk about Girl Interrupted, why'd you say yes?
I think it's because I hadn't seen it in a while and it gave me an opportunity to revisit it.
Yeah.
And I just know that I love the cast. You know, I was like, okay, I could revisit this, you know, see a Brittany Murphy performance, Angelina Jolie. Yes. And so, again, I was reminded what he was in it, but I just knew Jared Leto was in it. So I just wanted to check it out again. And I'm like, why not revisit it with a purpose to discuss it? You know, so I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, even with Jared Leto, like, I mean, for me, the whole cast is great. I don't think there's one weak person, right? I mean, I think everyone is perfectly cast, and we have Clea Duvall, who's great, and especially back then was really, you know, busy in a lot of movies, right? So young.
So young in that.
Yeah, and like Elizabeth Moss, I was reading, was only 15. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because, of course, with her makeup, her burn scars, but and she's playing young, but I didn't realize she was that young in real life, you know. And even like Angela Bettis, she's got great sassy energy, and it's funny to see Jeffrey Tambor like. I'm just so used to what he looks like now, or at least in the last few years with that show Transparent, right? That like, oh yeah, I forgot he was like a little bit pudgier, you know, like he had a rounder face and, you know, so I just think the whole cast overall really, really
and
solid.
Vanessa Redgrave.
You agree? Vanessa Redgrave.
Yeah, like she didn't have much, she had some key parts, but she didn't have a lot of scenes, but she was effective in what she was in because it's just nice to hear her voice, hear her talk, you know.
Oh my
gorgeous,
God, it's so soothing, absolutely. And you know what I love? She's like the head doctor, right? Dr. Wicks, right? And I just love how she's there managing people's health, and she's smoking inside. And I'm just like,
so much
okay,
smoking in the movie. Everybody was
right?
smoking.
So much. Everyone's smoking. I know. But you would think like, okay, maybe at least the one of the main doctors wouldn't do that, but no, everyone was, right?
No.
Yeah,
It's
she's
like
great.
when Winona's character got to the facility and they were talking about Dr. Wicks, she kept referring at first to them being male.
Yeah.
And they corrected her like, no, Dr. Wicks is the female. And so
Wicks
that kind of made me think about like the time frame. They just didn't, the time the movie set in. So
absolutely,
maybe she assumed there'd be a male doctor would be the head of the
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a great way to talk about that time without it being like a full-on conversation. It's just an assumption and a quick correction, and she's like, oh, and we move on. But yeah, at that time, 60s, women still kind of were only seen as doing certain things, capable of only certain things, right? Yeah. And also, it's just great how Vanessa Redgrave just naturally is, and how she's directed. She's so still, so calm. And of course, that kind of makes Susanna even more like tightly wound, and like, am I crazy? Am I sane? So their scenes together are fun. But like you said, there aren't many, but some good tension, some good opposites. And like Winona's freaking out and Vanessa's just there like,
but then you see like later in the movie towards the end when she meets up with her again as she's progressed and gotten better, like it shifted. Like there wasn't that much tension between them, or they weren't doing that as like the standoffishness. She was more receptive to each other speaking and talking.
Yep. And there's such a lightness on them both, even Vanessa, they're just kind of literally just chatting and kind of smiling. Their eyes are a little brighter, right? It's not so combative. Yeah, it's nice for sure.
Is there something about sex which lifts your feelings of despair?
Have you ever had sex?
And yeah, Jared Leto, I know there are rumors about him. He's kind of problematic, I guess now, there's some stories, but yeah, wow. I just have to say, like, what? Oh my God. Every time I see him in these old movies, I mean, he still looks good, but especially at this era, I'm like, God, what a babe. I mean, he doesn't have much to do either, but his scenes, man, he just grabs my attention,
He did. Yeah, it's very, very cute. Very cute. Like,
very cute, even with the beard.
Face.
Yes. Yeah. Those beautiful eyes and like, oh my God. I think, at this time I was not yet 13. How old were you at this time?
In 99? I was 18.
You were 18. Wow. Oh my God. What a time. That must have been so cool. So yeah, like I, wasn't out definitely at that age, but like seeing Jared Leto and like Winona, like kind of getting it on a little bit in her bed and like shirt. So I was just like, wow. Like I remember like Whoopi walks in. Yep.
I thought she was going to kick him out, but she's like, you have Browns people, just go for a walk, guys.
Yes. I love that. And again, that's why we love Whoopi. What is Whoopi's name in this movie? Why do I not remember it? Her character's name.
I thought I wrote it down. I didn't.
Oh, Valerie. It's Valerie. Yep. Love it. Yeah, Valerie, you're so right, because we've seen her get mad. She swings that door open, I think to yell at Susanna at one point when they like drug one of the nurses, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because Winona's that's one of my favorite scenes when they're singing downtown, right? And Susanna makes out with the night nurse, the guy, right? And
he was so cute. He was
so
sweet.
Cute, so
he had
sweet.
A big
and like
crush on her.
He had a crush on her. And also, like, what's really sweet also is they're like two lonely people. I got the vibe that he also was kind of lonely, So it's so sweet. And then they fall asleep like in the hallway. And then when Valerie walks in, and again, like Whoopi is just such a great performer. Her eyes, right? She just looks at them. And that's when we see Susanna like wake up and run to her room. And then Valerie's swinging that door open. I'm writing you up. I'm sick of this shit, So we've seen her get angry, But yeah, I love seeing Jared Leto, and she's like, "Go take a walk," right? And also, that was also. I just think the script is pretty great because they're able to inject issues of the time without it distracting from Susanna's main story and main day to day, right? Because then Jared Leto, I forget his name, Tobias. I think Tobias. Yeah. He just got drafted and he's trying to flee and he wants to flee with her, and go to Canada. And she actually says, no, I have friends here. And he's like, are you actually crazy? Right. And yeah,
when I was watching that scene and he was like, I'm going to get you out of here. Let's just go. And she acknowledges her friends. He speaks down to her about that. But I think that was a turning point in the movie where she acknowledges that she actually has problems that she needs to work on. And that's why she chooses to stay. That's where I think the turning point kind of is. She's just like, wait a minute, I'm I'm unwell or I need help.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
that's
love
what
that.
took from that.
Well said. Yeah, that's a turning point for her where she's actually showing maturity because she could have totally run off with him, but she's starting to realize maybe she is hearing what the doctors are saying. She's like, wait, I think actually I do need to stay because I do have to sort things out. Because she ain't sorting anything out with him on the road. No way.
No,
Right?
I would no.
It's
So
just no way.
well, it's not any mental health stuff. She just sorted out the other things. But.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot to mention this. There's
yeah.
a line early on in the movie when she's speaking, or when Winona Ryder's doing like the over voice, and she says like a line similar to like those who steal when they have the money. And when she said that, I was like, and 2 years later, in real time, she gets caught for stealing. That was that whole like 2 years later.
Wow.
So when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, foreshadowing.
Good thinking. Good catch. I missed that one. Wow. Yeah, I know that. And that then started her pretty long, strange kind of stretch in her career, but thank God we got her back, right? And she
she got back on her feet. Yeah,
she got totally back on her feet, and she's doing great things, of course. But yeah, I forgot that was only 2 years after this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it really, it makes total sense. She was one of the busiest actors for the longest time. All throughout the 90s.
And the thing was, I remember reading about that. She was prescribed medication by a doctor who shouldn't have prescribed her medication. So that was kind of like it impacted it. She also was going through things too, and I think when she did all the community service and she paid back the fees, I think they reduced the the charge for to misdemeanor, from felony to misdemeanor, because I also acknowledged that the medication she was on at the time shouldn't have been prescribed to her. So
wow, God. Well, honestly, thank God she survived, because we hear these stories of celebrities getting their meds from people that shouldn't be giving them, or whatever, and then drugs, and all of a sudden then some of them don't wake up, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So interesting. A real life girl interrupted situation for her. But yeah, she's our girl. Love her so much. She's so good in this movie. I know Angelina got like all the attention, rightfully so, but I think Winona's great. I think she's
amazing in it.
Right?
She was just like her. She had emotions on her face. I was invested in her. I cared.
Mm-hmm.
But when Angelina shows up, like when the first scene, I remember watching, I was like, she's gonna steal every single scene she's in because she's just so good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. She's not like, it's not like when an actor is just chewing the scenery and just taking up so much space. No, like she's just so committed in the role. And I think also Angelina at that time, and maybe even still now, is probably intimidating. I know you probably saw a couple. I think it was earlier last year, Elizabeth Moss was on Kelly Ripa's podcast and did say, like, because of the on-screen character drama, there really kind of was like, on set, like you were either team Angelina or team Winona. Like they did not really get along that well. They were not really friends, which is a bummer, because I guess Winona really thought like, yeah, we're going to be great friends. But Angelina was so super committed, maybe a little method, being in Lisa's shoes, that like, no, when the cameras weren't rolling, like they did not speak, which is a bummer, but obviously it worked, made the movie good, right?
Maybe she just wanted to focus on the role itself and not like distracted. And maybe she needed to have that barrier between them. But also, then it impacts things too, especially when you're like trying to work with somebody and you're thinking like, when you get a new job, like, oh man, I'm trying to make friends here, be friendly, and then it doesn't happen. Right. You're like bummed out, like, oh
yeah, oh totally. You're like, all right, well, definitely not gonna be friends with her. Okay, got it. Who am I gonna hang out with? Who am I gonna have lunch with today? Right. Yeah. But obviously it worked because you're so right. Just the way Angelina moves and her looks, like she's intimidating. Like for half the movie, I'm like, oh God, she makes me nervous. And Winona, therefore, is also so good because she is us squirming and like kind of looking at it like, doesn't want to make it too obvious that she's nervous, right? Mm-hmm. Their tension is so good. And then when they become tight, it's actually like so much fun. Like the movie, even though it gets very dark and there's dark moments throughout, I kind of have my memories at first are, oh my God, that's such a fun movie, which is kind of twisted, because they're such a fun team when things are going well, know? Hey, Rewinders. I'm pausing my chat with Rudy just for a second to introduce another friend of mine who also loves Girl Interrupted. Here's artist and movie fan Todor Iliev with his thoughts.
Hey guys, this is Todor from Sofia, Bulgaria, better known as Iliev Illustration on Instagram and Blue Sky. I'm beyond excited to talk about Girl Interrupted. Back in 1999, when I first saw the movie, I was 13 years old. I think I've seen it a couple of times afterwards. Haven't seen it for at least 15 years though. I remember the story was heavy, interesting, thought-provoking. The cast is beyond amazing. Angelina Jolie, Winona Ryder, Claire Duval, Brittany Murphy. That's more than enough for anyone to give this movie a rewatch or just see it for the first time. If you liked The One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, either the book or the movie, there's a pretty good chance you enjoy this one as well. There's lots of parallels to be found. The subject matter is it's not an easy one. It's about mental health. It's about female relationships. It's about Angelina Jolie, her performance, her hair. It kind of reminds me of Gail Weathers from Scream 3. But I think it was that time when this fringe was kind of popular. And yeah, thanks for reminding me about that movie.
Can I have a vanilla sundae with hot fudge, whipped cream, cherries, and
Nuts?
I love the ice cream parlor scene so much.
Oh, that was so good.
Right? When Valerie takes the girls out and like Lisa's flirting with the ice cream guy, and the one patient is saying like peppermint dick and stuff, and then Susanna sees the wife of the professor or the teacher, I guess, that I completely forgot about that whole subplot.
Yeah, because when she goes to the early movie, the party that she gets to, she's late to, and then you see him. As soon as she looked at him, I was like, oh no, this is now I forgot that happened. And then you see him trying to like reconnect with her, and she was like, it's a one-time thing, dude.
I know, but and again, I think I know this movie, isn't perfect, and some critics didn't like it, but like, I don't know, the second she looks at that teacher at the party and like just the way they're directed, like immediately I'm like, ooh, like you just feel the electricity. And then he's there at her door and she's saying no, like, what are you doing? Really great flashbacks to what went on. And then now here is his wife, and we assume, I guess, daughter, right? Katie Strickland, who then went on
I think
to
it was like a friend from school that she had talked about.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah, same age. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I just love that scene because that woman, I forget her character's name, but and now I'm forgetting the actor's name, but she's great. She's done so much. Mary Kay Place, I think. She's looking at Winona and she is just so upset, comes over to the table. And I just love how all these crazy girls just start going off. I think Angela Bettis is barking, and I think Daisy, Brittany Murphy, doesn't she say like, get that thing out of my face or whatever, right? It's just, I love when they just get unhinged and scare them away. I think
they back her up, like it's like they're all together because they see her being attacked, verbally attacked by this woman,
right?
And she's kind of cowering, and the rest of them kind of like join up, help her out,
totally
fend her off,
They're helping her kind of see what it's like to have a voice, something she was lost and doesn't really know how to like properly get her thoughts out, communicate. So now here she is seeing a very extreme version, but she's got backup, which is so fun. But
because when they get there and she sees them, she's hiding behind Angelina. She's embarrassed, she's cowering away. So then when they spot her, so she like realizes that these are her friends, they're helping her out. So then she kind of like stands up a little bit more straight, and
yes,
it's appreciative of what they did for her.
Oh, also I just have to say, this rewatch is the first time I've seen it in a long time. So I realized I don't think I ever knew what a rim job was, because when Lisa says to the wife, like, okay, she gave him a rim job, so what? I'm like, oh wait, she gave what? She what? I was like, oh, that went over my head back in the day.
It didn't. At the time, yes, and now I'm like, yes. Did she mean it? Did she really do that?
I know. That's the thing with Lisa. You never know. So I'm like, wait, is that like a sick joke for Lisa?
But she didn't like question, or she didn't challenge to be like, hey, I didn't do that. I did this.
I know.
Kind of like left it out there in the ether. So
I know. You're right. Susanna wasn't like, Lisa, what are you saying? She was just like, right.
Like,
so
what is that? No, she knew it was apparently. I guess.
Whoa, teacher student doing some stuff together. I was like,
she needed a pass. She needed a good grade, I guess.
Yes. A+. Yes.
I would hope.
I know. I mean, geez, that's commitment. So yeah, there you go, girl. So I just had to mention that because whoa, my younger brain never heard that ever. And when I paused it, rewound it, and wrote it down, like, okay, rim job, must talk about that. But no, what's also so interesting about that scene is right after that, the fun part, then it's like wah, wah, because then Valerie is so pissed at their behavior and she focuses that on Lisa. So it's kind of like showing how even though Lisa was supporting her new friend, she's constantly the bad girl, and she even kind of says that later on, that great line. She says, "I'm playing the villain just like you wanted, baby," or something like that in the tunnels, right? To Susanna. So like, poor Lisa, even when she has great intentions and she's being super supportive, actually, it's not working out and it's thrown back in her face and she's chastised. And I really feel for her.
But I think that she knew that she would get in trouble.
Yeah.
I think she maybe stepped in and did that. So Angelina, so Winona didn't have to do it and get in trouble. So she knew that, like, I'm already getting in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
I'm playing the villain, so if I step up and have the ramifications for it, it doesn't matter anymore to me, at least. So
good point.
I think that's why she kind of did it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's sort of like an acceptance of like, this is it for me, which is a bummer. It's sad for sure, but then great tension. But yeah, I mean, another very memorable scene. I know we're gonna get dark here, but when the girls do somewhat very easily, it seems, escape the hospital, I guess through the tunnels, the underground hallways. They're just like running out at night and they hitchhike their way to Daisy's house because Daisy got out, right? We've already seen all the chickens under the bed. What were you thinking with all these old smelly chickens under Daisy's bed?
I was confused. And so at the time, and then with what we watched, okay, maybe we're going to explain this better to me and understand it more. But it just felt like, I thought maybe she was bulimic or had an eating problem.
Right.
That's why she was maybe eating and purging, but she was just eating them and not throwing them out.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. I think maybe it was just like she just didn't want to get rid of them, and then she said that line like she has to keep 5, then I have to throw them out.
Yes. So yes, that line hits hard because like
maybe
like
it was
gagging.
just to have, because it's from her father. Maybe it was just a way of a tie to him, and she just didn't want to like abandon it or give it away. But definitely, just, I don't know, just very weird.
Yeah, very weird. And you bring up a great point because I was the same way for a while. I thought like, oh yeah, she's got an eating disorder. And maybe she does because, she says something in that same scene, before she says like, once I get 5, Valerie makes me throw them away. Before that, she says something along the lines of like, listen, like you guys like to like shit in private. And like, I like to eat in private. I like to be private, like with the food going in rather than going out. So like when you're all at the cafeteria, I want to eat privately. So that is, in a way, I guess, a bit of an eating disorder. But you're right. We don't actually have proof that she is bulimic or something. It's just more of like food hoarding. It's like holding on to, like what daddy gave you, like these prized chickens for his daughter. So it's almost more going back to the very strange, inappropriate relationship she has with dad rather than with food itself, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, because it's a gift from her dad, and she doesn't want to throw away a gift,
right?
If it's leftover chickens under her bed.
And it's funny, I had completely forgotten, and she does it, I think maybe twice. She says, I'm getting out soon, and my dad's getting me an apartment with an eat-in chicken. And I think Susanna even says, I think you mean eat-in kitchen. Right. And I had never caught that before. I think it happens twice, but I just love how Brittany Murphy, I love how she delivers this, but Daisy loves saying asshole. That's what I said. Asshole, like it's so sassy. It's like, calm down. Okay. Right. She's so angry.
Yeah,
it's so fun to watch.
She was good at that line. It was very fun to see.
Right.
She'd flip real quick with being angry.
Oh, yeah. And, I was reading, and maybe you saw this too. I saw, a couple casting things. Since this cast is so good, Lily Sobieski, apparently, you never know. I read this on the internet, so who knows. But Lily Sobieski signed on to play Daisy, but dropped out just weeks before filming because she was doing Joan of Arc, which I think was a TV movie, if I remember correctly. But so, Daisy was going to be very different. I cannot imagine anyone but Brittany Murphy playing that role.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, I feel like would be a very different sassy, because Brittany just has that kind of like her eyes twitch a little bit, like she just looks so pent up, and Lily, especially at this time, just seems so kind of cool, like more a quieter rage. So I can't really picture that. Parker Posey turned down the role of Lisa. Crazy.
What?
I
Oh,
could
wow.
see Parker Posey being in this movie, although I feel like she'd be a little bit older than everyone, but maybe
Yeah.
not. Right?
Yeah, I thought when you said that, I thought maybe she was going to be like someone who worked there, a role
Like Valerie or something,
like
yeah.
the one nurse who does the checks and the pills.
Yes.
I could see her playing
Yes.
that character, but like,
yeah, I just love that one nurse who says Susanna Kaysen. She has like an accent. I think she's like Irish or something like that. Always is in my head when they do the pills. But yeah, so Parker Posey was going to be in it. Lily Sobieski. James Mangold also met with Courtney Love to discuss the role of Lisa, which makes perfect sense.
Right.
Totally see that. As well as Alanis Morissette. She was apparently in the mix for a role, which would have been very interesting. I think it would have been distracting because no one, in my opinion, is like distracting. No one's like taking your eyes away more than they should. But I feel like just knowing like Alanis Morissette is acting in a movie, I think that maybe would have been a little distracting. You know,
that would have been distracting. Courtney Love would have been distracting just because like there's just stars.
They're rock stars. Yeah. So it's like, you know, we already have Winona, who's our star. Angelina was on the rise. Whoopi's a star, you know, but like, then if you have like, a rock star in there, it's like, whoa, okay, this is, you know, but apparently other names, especially at the time, make sense. Reese Witherspoon, Christina Ricci, Katie Holmes, Kate Hudson, Rose McGowan. They apparently all auditioned. And I saw online, Rose McGowan had even said, quote, "It's the only decent thing out there that doesn't involve taking your clothes off." So there you go, Rose.
I believe she would say that. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. That feels right. Yeah. But so I just had to bring that up about Daisy. But so, yeah, they flee the institution and they're hitchhiking and stealing money from guys and all that. And they make their way to Daisy's apartment. I forget how they knew the address. I guess they got it from the files. I think that must have been how, because remember they like break into their files, which is kind of a fun scene.
Did she ever send the mail?
Oh, maybe it was mail. Yeah, maybe something. They must have found out some way. But so they're there. And that's when the movie starts to become kind of horrific. Like you can feel like the lighting is different. We're now like it's kind of crazy how like, even though the institution is not home, the hospital is not a nice place. It's almost kind of like, I think when we get to Daisy's house, I'm like, oh no, bring me back to the hospital. Like that's the safe place. You know what I mean?
It's very dark there, like a little uneasy, makes an uneasy feeling.
Absolutely.
You know? Just because you at this point you kind of know what's going on with her home life with her dad.
Yes.
And so just going there, knowing that this is just another cage for her. You know, he put her in Claymoore, and now he's pushed her in this apartment that she's been wanting, and she's not leaving that place. She's staying home all the time. So.
You're so right. You're so right. It's another cage for her. Yeah, she's not leaving. She might go for a walk, but Daddy's gonna pick up and drive her anywhere she needs to go. So yeah, there's like an immediate darkness. She and Lisa don't get along, of course. We had, the whole fighting earlier with the Valium and the teddy bear and all that stuff that she has because she's hooked on Valium. And they're fighting this scene. Oh my God, it's so memorable. It's awful. And I just remember Winona telling Lisa, shut the fuck up. Like it's getting so bad, right? And this is where Lisa tells us, like, we kind of now have confirmation, like, yeah, like Daddy is doing things to you and you like it. Oh, it's so, oh my God, Rudy.
It's super rough.
Oh,
it's hard. It was hard to watch. I mean,
yes. And they're all so good. I mean, it's mostly between Angelina and Brittany, but the way Brittany is on the stairs, just feeling like shit, but also so badly trying to stay cool and proud. Oh my gosh, it's so bleak.
Well, yeah, because she's convinced herself that she's doing well. Like she's better. She has the place that she wants. She's as a home. They're jealous of her, so has been fed this, and she believes it. And and I think that's why Angelina is just so upset with her, because she's just like, we see this happening to you, and you don't.
Right.
And her frustration is taken out on anger against her. Because she's. Even maybe because she left Claymoore, maybe she felt that she was safer there than here, because obviously you see that her hand being cut up more,
right?
So
yeah, and it's interesting because like I'm just thinking now, this just popped into my head, like Lisa doesn't like liars, of course. So yeah, like you're saying, like, hello, we see this, you don't, or you just refuse to, or you really are thinking that we can't see it, you idiot, right? So that's where Lisa's coming from. But there's also definitely jealousy because Daisy got out. And Lisa, I think Valerie tells Susanna maybe right after this, because they part ways. This is too dark for Susanna to like stay with Lisa, right? I think Valerie even says like Lisa's been here like off and on for like 8 years. She's not going anywhere, you know? So yeah, there's also definitely some resentment coming out where Lisa is taking it out on this like twerp, this fool, this idiot. How dare you get lucky enough to get out? I need to get out, you know? So there's also that.
You're just jealous, Lisa. Because I got better. Because I was released. Because I have a chance at a life.
They didn't release you because you're better, Daisy. They just gave up.
Just the blocking, the staging of like, Angelina's sitting in the chair, like hanging out, and up on the stairs is so like, even though Brittany is like above her, it's like, no, Lisa's got all the power from wherever she is. She can be lower physically, but she's ruling you, Ooh, it really turns the tides, because up until that point, Susanna and Lisa have, like we were just saying, have had some nice moments. They're very much a unit. And now Susanna's like, this is going way too far, right? Oh
yeah. When she screams at them to stop fighting, she was like doing what we wanted to do. We wanted to stop because like you said, this movie has its highs and lows, but it's not that dark. I mean, it's like it has its moments. We're going through this journey with Winona Ryder's character, and we're like enjoying it. We're seeing like the rough patches she has along the way, but then we get to this scene,
right? And
it's super dark. It's like uneasy, and having watched it before, I knew what was going to happen.
Yes.
So this is where I'm like, oh, this all this that's happening is going to build up to what's coming next.
Yeah. And even as this fight's going on, and like as Daisy goes to bed, like like if you saw this for the first time, you feel it in your gut, like, ooh, that was a big twist, and something bad's going to happen. Like it's just in the air. And man, when the music keeps playing, like Susanna, everyone's awake and it's just the same song. And Lisa's like in the kitchen hanging out, right? I think she really wants to make pancakes. And she's playing that shit all goddamn morning. Susanna knows, like, okay, that's weird. And then she goes up those stairs. And that's when I'm like, it feels like a horror movie. Like we have switched. It's not really like kind of coming of age drama. It's not really kind of like girls fun, like, crazy girls getting along. It's like, no, we are now in just devastation. And we know what we're going to see. But still, when she opens that door and we just kind of see kind of over the shoulder, like hand, Daisy's hand, like hanging there. Oh God. And how Susanna's sick to her stomach, but Lisa's just there like, like, ooh.
And then she makes a line like, we need to call an ambulance. Angelina says, we just call a hearse. I was like, oh.
Heartless.
Because you at this point have assumed that Lucy has seen this kind of, she's seen people do this maybe at Claymoore. So
probably.
She's been around it. So she's a little bit more used to it, unfortunately. Yeah. And so that's how I read the scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, because she's been there for a while. She might have even seen this happen before even getting to Claymoore when she was younger, right? So she's seen some shit. So yeah, and then also she's kind of enjoying that she had the power over Daisy. I think she even said something like, "I didn't do that. I just like told her the truth, and we all knew that was going to happen anyway." That was like her mentality, and it's so sick, Rudy, how I forgot this shot. Then we actually do see Brittany Murphy there hanging in the background as not they, but Lisa is taking money out of her pockets and giving it to Susanna. And like, oh, it's just so dirty. It is so wrong. And Lisa's not blinking an eye, right? That is a major turning point for all of us, I feel like, where it's like, oh, okay, you were fun, but no, you actually are messed up, And I forgot before this whole sequence, it actually, I love it. I remembered it so well. And I remember the music, the score. Lisa wakes Susanna up as they, right before they flee the hospital. And she's got tears in her eyes. She looks wacky. Do you remember that? It's like a shot in the dark. And she's like, you still want to go to Florida? And like, she's like, not all there. And that's really when, things start to get spooky. And then they run out there. Because she keeps calling at that moment. She calls, Susanna Jamie, who was Lisa's friend who committed suicide before Susanna entered, right? I
Yeah, I
forgot
guess
about that.
Yeah, because there was a line that she killed herself when Lisa was gone because she missed her. So
Right.
I think Lucy probably had some sort of guilt there for that as well. But you think
Yeah,
with that
yeah,
guilt
yeah.
would have made her not be so pushy, but she was
I
obviously
know.
friends with
No.
Daisy. So
Yeah, it drove her the other way. Yeah. So that whole bit is very memorable, very dark. Ooh, it's heavy, heavy, heavy. And we kind of don't get lighter after that. Like it's then pretty heavy for the most part. Like Susanna gets better. That's nice to see her montage of like, and no one heard from Lisa, but then Lisa comes back. They found her and she's got like twitches, right? She's like on something. Ooh, God, spooky. And
I
she
think it's
just
probably
gives,
just because I think it's probably she was withdrawals from all the medication that was keeping her kind of
right.
balanced, and being
Right.
not having that, it impacted her stability.
Yes.
So
And also, who knows? I mean, a woman who looks like her, sexy, young, like voluptuous woman, hitchhiking. Like, I don't like, you also just think like, oh God, like what happened to you after Susanna left you? You were helping each other out, but then when you're solo, you're strong, Lisa, but you're not, anyone could do anything to you. So like, ooh, that's dark. And then of course they put Lisa in that like private room where it's just like the
Mhm.
slot for your eyes, right? And she is not all there.
And then
Yeah.
she's like strapped to the bed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She's like totally. But then that takes us to the big finale, which is, I know some critics did not like it. They called it melodramatic. It definitely feels different than the rest of the movie,
Mhm.
where Lisa has gotten out and Susanna was kind of noticing, there's that one woman who's like kind of lying on the floor, passing notes with Lisa in this kind of like contained area, right? So like something's going on. There's like a plan going on. And Susanna has Daisy's cat, takes her medicine to fall asleep. It's her last night, right? So of course, it just feels so horror movie. It's like, okay, it's your last night here. Like, you want to get your rest. Oh, it's not going to be a restful night, right? Because she takes her pill, she shuts her eyes for what seems like a second. She opens them, cat's gone. She like the place is like a ghost town, but she hears like laughter in the distance. And Lisa has basically rallied our main girls against Susanna by reading the journal. And it's just so mean girl. And oh my God, Rudy, I forgot. Then Angelina Jolie pulls out like a syringe, like a needle. Like, is she going to kill Susanna? Like, it feels like that,
Yeah, it was twisted.
It's twisted. Do you think it works or did it go a little off the rails for you? What do you think?
It was just I don't know. I think I felt like jumping the shark a little bit, try to like boost it up.
Yeah.
Because it just would have been. I think the movie, if that scene was cut out, I think the movie still would have played fine. It just kind of gave like an extra level of like, why do we need to make Lucy this even make her even more of a trouble person?
Right.
Write her this way because she's already in that room tied up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why give this extra push to be mean?
Right.
Mean spirited and have all one of his friends.
Yeah.
Susanna, right? Susanna's friends like go against her.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, because we already have just seen like Lisa do her damage. Like she is a bad person, right? So yeah, now to really make her this, and it's in these. We're back in the creepy hallways, the tunnels, this like, and like literally Lisa is chasing Susanna, like she's walking after her, very like Michael Myers, Susanna hurts her hand on the door, which I'm like, okay, this is definitely feeling like the studio where someone was like, okay, we need to really like make it creepy,
I can see that. Like we need a little more action.
Which I mean, here's the thing, it works for me, but it's still, I can tell, and I could tell even as a kid, I'm like, okay, this is different. Why does it feel like we're now in a different like zone here, So I wonder if it could have been achieved just in a less high stakes way with the needle and the screaming and like, what if
I guess it could have been toned down a little bit. Probably so would have been fine.
I wonder if like it could have, like what you're saying is we almost didn't really need it. Maybe what if like Lisa whispered to like her friends through the under the door, like, I know where her journal is, go get it, let's read it. And like, what if it's all just right there in the hallway? Like that would
have been great. That would have worked.
You know what I mean? That still feels like a confrontation. Her secrets are exposed.
Yeah, because she could have walked out of her room and then saw them all by Lisa's door and then reading the journal together, and then she could have like had that moment, because it does lead to later in the movie where she makes amends and tells them, even like to Chloe Duvall's character, like, I didn't mean what I wrote about you, and she's like, yeah, you kind of did, but okay.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's like, actually, I am a pathological liar. I like how during the big climax, Clea says, like something like, did you really say that? Like, you need to erase that because my father is the head of the CIA. And she just says it in such a great way where we all know, like, no, he's not. You're lying right now. But she also, much like a lot of them, like, she can't get out of her own way. Like, she doesn't actually know what is real and what's not, Yeah. The ending is definitely, it ramps up out of nowhere. I think I like it, but it just, I don't know, seeing the needle. I had forgotten about that, and seeing that now just the other night, I'm like, okay, that is crazy. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to like, okay, are you going to kill her? Are you going to knock her out? And when you knock her out, what are you going to do to her? Like, it's just, it's weird. It's weird.
I mean, she probably just wanted to scare her, but I mean, still,
I guess so.
It's a very, very extreme thing to do.
And then Lisa wants to, once Susanna like really gets to her, and I love the way Winona says, your heart is cold, but Susanna really gets under her skin. No one cares if you die, Lisa, because you're dead already. Yeah. Your heart is cold. Like, hearing that is like, oh, that stops Angelina from trying to attack Susanna, but then she's trying to give herself the substance. She's trying to like then use the needle on her, and it's like, oh, I don't like this needle. I'm also just not a needle person at all. So it just, I'm like, so yeah. But then next day they all wake up. Lisa's been restrained in bed, right? And Susanna goes around hugging everyone, and everyone kind of quickly gets over what just happened last night, and they say their goodbyes. But at least Lisa and Susanna have a nice moment, even though we know it's kind of a lie. Like, Susanna's like, when you get out, like, come visit me, that kind of stuff.
Is that when she's painting her nails?
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah. Yep. I like that. I mean, I like that scene. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
It was nice. Even though, granted, she knows she's not getting out, but it's nice to hear it.
Yeah. It's nice that even though literally Susanna was about to possibly die a few hours prior, she's like, she knows that Lisa can't help herself. And yeah, she has this nice moment with the nail polish that I believe Angela Bettis says, I had to trade with a transvestite in the men's ward for the nail polish. I'm funny. Like, that line is so 60s. But yeah, they have this sweet moment. But yeah, they both know they're never going to see each other again. And I think Winona even says in her voiceover at the end, she's like, did any get out? Did some stay forever? And it's like, Lisa stayed forever. She might have gotten out, but she's going to come back, or they're going to find her, and she's going to be.
Oh, yeah. She probably escaped a few times,
right.
That was her way out. She did the tunnels to get out. That makes sense how she got out so often. She knew how to get out. But they never figured out how to lock them up or seal the tunnels.
I know, right? It's like, Whoopi wasn't like, Susanna, how'd you guys get out? Like, there's no brief little discussion and like showing like chains on a door or something,
Mm-hmm.
But I do love that they bowl down there. I'm like, okay, there's a random little bowling alley down underground of this institution. That's pretty fun.
Get yourself out.
Let's go.
It was just so fun to see the cast. Young, play these roles, and having us seeing them, their careers only go up from this, and
it's
see
amazing.
They've done so much since, and it was just nice to kind of like go back and see them all as like babies, like even like I said earlier, Clea Duvall, like she was so young in this movie, and now she's just like an amazing director, and
I know, I love her. She's great in everything. I loved her in Veep a few years ago. Did you watch Veep on HBO?
Great.
So funny, so like stone faced. But yeah, Lisa Beach was the casting director for this, and you might know her. She did the first 3 Scream films. She did a lot at this time. Great casting director. She knows how to piece people together, and it makes sense, knowing she cast Rose McGowan in Scream, how Rose was in the mix for this. Like, she knows, right? She knows like good women, especially, and the guys, but like she knows how to come up with a good, sassy, a group of women for sure. So yeah, great cast. I agree. It's fun to rewatch this and see where many of them were on the rise, and just to see like Winona, who was already top of the world just in, back then, and now she's still top of the world just in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, one thing I want to say, I do love the line, and I would say this often, just like with friends, and I feel like it was in the trailers, when Jared Leto surprises Susanna at the hospital and they have their little moment in the room. Again, another nice moment. Lisa notices, and she then sees the nurses going around to do checks. And Lisa's like, I'm going to like try to help my friend have a private moment. Right. And so she's distracting the nurse and she starts to get angry and it's kind of an act. And I love the line. She takes the pen.
Go ahead, take one step and I'll jam this in my aorta.
Lisa, your aorta is in your chest.
Good to know.
And then click. Good to know. I would do that all the time. I would take a pen in class and be like, good to know, right? But that whole little moment it's just cute. You know, the reason why she's doing it, how annoying she is, how they're like, come on, Lisa, you know, like, so that whole moment, I thought, I just wanted to shout out. That's a fun moment for sure, you know? And I love also one other quote when I think it's the same thing right before then. I just came to me. I think, what was Elizabeth Moss's name? Polly, I think. She's on the ground trying to like listen to Winona and Jared Leto, right? And Lisa's in her chair and she goes, what you doing? Oh yeah, she calls her Torch, which is so sick. Yeah. Oh my God, so sick. She goes, what you doing? Nothing. Well, why don't you go to your room and do nothing? I just love how she says that. Love it. Well, thank you, my friend. So yeah, did you say, so you wrote your review on The Damned? Is that out yet? We can't read it yet, right?
No, it's already out. It's
okay. It's out.
So on my Instagram is like it's Rudy, or my name
here.
But I have like in my highlights there's a section for all my movie reviews and articles. Good. So you just click on that and it'll bring it up. So
perfect. So we got to read more of Rudy's reviews, everybody.
Uncertainty about goals and a generally pessimistic attitude are often observed.
Oh, that's me. That's everybody.
And there you have it. That's what we have to say about Girl Interrupted, which is the last 1999-ish movie that I'll talk about for a while, at least until 2029 if I'm still doing this. Thanks so much to my great guest Rudy Valdez for your thoughts and for your time. And thank you, Todor, for your cameo. Give them both a follow on social and check out what they're working on. Rudy is at Oh It's Rudy, and Todor is at Iliev Illustration. Thanks all of you for listening, watching, and spreading the word about this podcast. Thanks also Straw Hut Media, Kyle Motzinger, Greg Clements, and Portland Media Center. And in the words of stern Valerie Owens,
remember me when you shave your legs.